Alrighty, Scotty here, May 23rd, 2023. It's been about around a week since I did my last video on the garden. Let's do a garden tour. I'm going to start over here. This is what we call the flower house. It's basically, it was going to be a greenhouse and we ended up just converting in and putting wire all over it, the chicken wire, and growing vines on it. Right here we've got marigolds going around this. Everything that I planted out of the greenhouse is almost double in size now, so these are going really well. All the plants that I planted are starting to really kick. These are giant sunflowers. These are throughout the garden in some areas. Stoked about those mostly because they get so big. It's like growing miniature trees within a few months. It's quite the show. Over here, this is where all the watermelons are. They're still little. This is a giant watermelon, and there's another watermelon, still very little over here. A lot of these are weeds. There's a lot of weeds in this garden. We get hit hard with them. But there's 6 watermelon plants throughout here. And then over here, I've been working hard on the giant sunflower maze. If you watched previous videos, you saw that this was hit really hard with weeds. Just anywhere where we don't pull weeds or hit some kind of weed killer, they grow rampant. But I was able to get back here, pulled a lot of the weeds. This has all been planted with giant sunflowers. It's been going over a week. The previous year, we put probably around 15-20 yards of fresh compost throughout here, and didn't end up really growing anything in here, and so it's prime area for giant sunflowers. The dirt's really well and really good, so I planted the seeds and they started coming up within less than a week. This is what they're at. This is about as big as they are right now. These are the mammoth giant sunflowers. I have a lot of really good luck with these. When I went around, I planted a few or more at a time, and then when they sprout, I just come through, pull out the smaller ones, keep the best candidate, and that's what I'm doing throughout. As you can see, they're still sprouting. The shells are still on them, and it's basically the size of the sunflowers that you eat. These are the sunflowers you eat. You plant them, and these grow huge. So right now, the name of the game is I'm going through, thinning them out, and here's some other areas. I went through, planted multiple ones at a time. Just I like to do that and go through and thin out and pick the best ones. So all these are sprouting. Super stoked about this. This is going to be one of my favorite areas. All this is all planted through. More little sprouts everywhere. Hundreds of them. It's a beautiful sight. Again, just gotta go through. They're getting big so fast. So go through. That's what I'm going to be doing tonight. It's still kind of getting late. It's about 9 o'clock here, but it's still sunny out. So the sunflowers go. The giant sunflower maze goes all the way to over here. This is all weeds. It actually looks a lot better than it did. And you can see the giant sunflowers in between. You can see amongst the weeds, more giant sunflowers. We're gonna keep this one. So, still gonna go through here and just kind of weed it off and on. When the giant sunflowers grow in, it'll help with less weeding. But they're coming up. So this goes to there, so it's all this area. All right here. And let's go take a look at the other side of the garden. I water the back of this hard. This sprinkler's going at least a few hours a day back here, it seems. It's so dry. Once the giant sunflowers get a little taller, they'll create more shade. There'll be more dampness, and I won't have to water them so hard. These are all sunflowers. You're here. I'll just walk through the garden. These are wildflowers. These are all wildflowers. Marigolds mixed throughout here. And the sprinklers are just going, keeping this really moist right now. It's an important time. A lot of the plants are really little. Right here, this is more giant sunflowers. I know I'm pointing them all out because I'm super stoked about them, and pretty soon it's just going to be walls of them. Let's go to Strawberry Hill. I've been coming through here weeding a little bit too. These are the strawberries. These do really well. Last year they were kicking. And throughout here, you can see all these. I planted 8 different varieties of sunflowers through here. They get around 5 to 8 feet tall. It's a new variety sunflower. And I planted those all through here. There's wildflowers mixed in here. More varieties of sunflowers through here. Some giant sunflowers. It's just really coming to life. So this is a good shot of one. This is probably one of the bigger ones. When they get to be about a foot like this is when they get exciting. They start growing around 1/2 inch a day, and when they get really big, they're just growing by the day. So potentially this is going to be 12 feet. These wildflowers are just kicking with color. Last week we planted our onions. We did 6 rows, 4 rows of yellow, and 2 rows of red, all through here. More awesome flowers. These are all the tomatoes. I was originally really worried about these. They started to turn yellow when I planted them, as you can see. And then now they're starting to kick and they're all turning green. I was really worried that maybe I planted them too early or something, but you can see they're good. There's over 50 tomato plants in here. 35-ish Roma, and then the rest are giant, like a meat tomato. Tomatillos through here. Peppers through here and there. These are all wildflowers and sunflowers. These are more of a variety of sunflowers. This is really fun just watching it grow. Everything's planted. Well, the last thing we're going to do is a few rows of beets, and then that's pretty much it. So now we can kind of just enjoy it, water it, do some weeding. These are the Sunzilla giant sunflowers. They're about 2 feet. I grew these in the greenhouse, so we'll see how well those do. Planted the giant sunflowers around the greenhouse to create a lot of shade. So the plants you're seeing around the greenhouse are giant sunflowers. This is a sad sight right here. We had really high winds last night or the other day, and it looks like it took one of them down. We'll try to, this is live, so I gotta fix that stake in there and prop that bad boy up. Hopefully it gets really high wind gusts through here sometimes, and some of these just had a hard time. This again is eventually where our root cellar is going to be. We're just working on finishing up little things. Now that stuff's planted, we are going to have more time to focus on the root cellar. Also want to show over here. This is where all the pumpkins are. I had tried to germinate some giant pumpkins, but I had no luck. So these are jack-o'-lantern pumpkins. Not these. These are weeds. It's the ones in between. Pumpkins. There's 15 of them. So again, you just gotta keep up on these weeds or they will just take over. But these are starting to look good. It's like they go into a little bit of shock once you plant them, but they're starting to look good. We'll get a lot of pumpkins through here. I'm guessing that this whole area will probably fill up with vines. That's why I put them here, so there's a lot of room. And over here under the pine tree is where the squash are. Butternut squash are under here. And cantaloupe. Do the butternut squash and cantaloupe under here. It's good soil, gets shade, and it gets a lot of sun at the same time. Yellow squash and zucchini. These are all of our raspberries. We have a lot. More wildflowers. Just the color coming off these is awesome. This is where all the water comes, the underwater canal for the farmers to use to water their fields. Really looking forward to these raspberries. It's another fun thing to just come out here and munch on. This video just kind of is going long, but thanks for watching. I'll do another one here within a week or so. Get out there and garden.